What is up, fans? Welcome to M2M coverage. We are here to cover the NBA draft. Yes, it happened last week, and we're sorry to be a little late on getting it out to you, but we have a new team. Edward Jeon is joining us. He is a new NBA analyst, and we have Gabe Pickup as always. What's up, guys? How we doing?
We're good.
Doing great for the first time in a while as a Knicks fan.
Yeah, and also free agency happened this weekend, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. But let's just run through the picks. First pick, Anthony Edwards goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Gabe, what was your initial reaction? Did you see this coming?
Yes, I saw this coming because Anthony Edwards is the ideal fit for them. LaMelo Ball, it wasn't going to work out with D'Lo already there. I would have felt bad if Russell got cut out for another Ball brother. And Wiseman, he plays like a traditional big man. They already have a traditional big man, even though he can shoot, in Karl Anthony Towns. So that wasn't really an ideal fit anyways. So, yeah, I saw it coming. As for the fit itself, I know Timberwolves fans are a little concerned and probably triggered at the fact that he resembles Andrew Wiggins a lot. They're probably hoping that he fixes his motivation because from interviews, it sounds like he's not very motivated. And that's a big concern. If you look at guys like, obviously, Andrew Wiggins, you look at guys like Anthony Bennett, all these busts have one thing in common, and it's that they don't work hard enough. So I really hope that he fixes his confidence. And even if his confidence is fixed, I hope he puts in the work. But yeah, I saw it coming.
Yeah, and this year is one of those drafts where there's no one clear superstar right away. There's no Zion, is pretty much what I'm saying. There's no Zion or Ja Morant coming out right away. And Edward, let's move to you. You posted your mock draft earlier on M2M, and you got Anthony Edwards correct. So how do you feel about the Minnesota Timberwolves getting Anthony Edwards?
Yeah, it was a clear fit, but this year, yeah, there is no clear number one pick. I do like Anthony Edwards when he played in those tournaments, especially he played against Dayton, which Obi Toppin was featured, and he impressed me. I just worry about he taking a volume shooter and he's not that consistent, but he is like his athleticism and everything. It's just he reminds me of like prime D Wade or like Donovan Mitchell, just his athleticism. Yeah, and also what Gabe said about his motivation, that kind of shocked me, and I just hope that the NBA will make him like, oh, this is legit. Because yeah, Georgia, it's a little bit like not SEC, like it's not Kentucky or North Carolina, but like he carried that team. So yeah, it was clear, obvious that he was going there. So I was really happy about that one.
Yeah, and we'll see what Minnesota can do in a stacked West that Minnesota has been at the bottom of for years now, since like Kevin Love left and all of those powerhouses. But let's move on to the second pick, James Wiseman, Golden State Warriors. I love this pick. I'm trying to ride the Warriors bandwagon this year. Sadly, Clay got hurt, and hope he gets well soon. I feel bad for him.
Jeez.
2 injuries, 2 opposite legs, and I also read a little bit about the injury. It's tough to come back from Achilles for sure. But let's see how James Wiseman fits in with this nucleus of the Warriors team. How do you see that fit, Gabe?
I see the fit working out very well, actually, because the Warriors have played small ball, but that's only because they've lacked that star big man that they haven't really had since, Chris Mullin, but if you want to be generous, David Lee. And I think that Stephen Curry having a good pick and roll guy will benefit both of them very well. He made it work with Andrew Bogut, so I think he can make it work with James Wiseman if he's as good as everyone says he is and as good as he looks in high school and a few games in college. Klay Thompson being out, it does suck, but they've got some good ISO players too. So maybe if they draw some traction, they can just pass into the post to James Wiseman, obviously kick it out to Curry. We'll just have to see, but I do like the fit a lot.
Yeah, and if you add that rookie to what is already a great coach, great organization, MVP caliber player in Steph Curry, and Draymond, who's an all-star, you can still see the Warriors in the top 5 or 6 seeds this year easily in the West, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Let me move to Edward. Reaction to James Wiseman?
Yeah, for me, he kind of reminds not the playing style, but his questionability is remind me of Bobo. They played few games and they got injured, or for James Wiseman, his eligibility and it's bring me a lot of question. But just seeing his frame and just how fast he moved for a 7-footer, it does bring a lot of intrigue. And if you really think about it, the Warriors bigs, their points per game, and they need something like they need to revolve because they saw that Anthony Davis this finals like just dominated. And if the Warriors play, I mean, Draymond Green is a good defender, but that 6'7" over a 6'11" guy is just not the work. So let's see. I think James Wiseman is a good pickup. I was kind of surprised. I could have said they could have picked up LaMelo just to like help out Klay Thompson, but I still like James Wiseman, and I hope that he has a good career over there.
And with that, let's move on to the third pick. LaMelo Ball goes to the Charlotte Hornets. Gordon Hayward also signed with the Hornets, but we'll get to that later. Gabe, how do you see LaMelo in the NBA?
I see him as a more aggressive version of his older brother, Lonzo. I think that the Hornets are the ideal place for him because he basically has his own team already. And they do have a good amount of shooters. They obviously need to get some more depth, but I think that LaMelo is the perfect fit there. And Gordon Hayward, we'll get into his contract situation later, but whether he was overpaid or paid properly or like in some crazy person's view underpaid, he still is a good fit there with LaMelo. Like they actually have a second guy. We'll have to see how he plays. I think that he'll get a lot more touches in Charlotte than Boston, so maybe this can help him out as a reputation, you know?
Yeah. Edward, any thoughts on LaMelo and the Hornets?
Yeah, as I put my mock draft, I put LaMelo out of the top 3. It's because mostly my mock draft was based on team needs, and I didn't think the Charlotte need a point guard. They already had Terry Rozier, so let's see what happens to that one. I like Devontae Graham. Like that's his team right now. Like he impressed me a lot. Seeing him in college, like in Kansas, he beat that Duke team, and just how impressive he was. Like I see how he want to translate. It didn't work out his first year. Like Kemba Walker was still there, but this year, I think he deserved to be the most improved player, to my opinion. But I really want to see his next step. Is this the ceiling, or can he step it up again? But LaMelo Ball, I think he's not the guy who's going to hog the ball just like to shoot. I think he's going to pass out to those shooters, and I think he has better vision than Lonzo. Even though I'm like Lonzo is a pretty good passer too. Just LaMelo is like an up and down just to his high school, and then his college, and then he got rescinded, and then so let's see. I'm very excited for LaMelo.
Yeah, and LaMelo, people are saying he needs to work on his shot, right? Shooting form is key. When you're in the backcourt in the NBA, you got to be able to shoot. And Lonzo had some shooting form issues when he was coming out of the draft. So we'll definitely see. But the Ball brothers both have shown that they know how to play the game. They know how to pass. They have vision, like you mentioned. Okay, so there's a lot of other picks here. We're going to focus on just ones that stood out to us, right? Fourth pick was Patrick Williams to the Chicago Bulls. Fifth pick was Isaac Okoro to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then we had Onyeka Okongwu to the Atlanta Hawks. How does that fit with Trae Young?
Well, to be honest, I think that it's a solid fit. My only question is, I guess they don't consider Clint Capella a future asset. They traded for him just last season, so it makes me wonder. They don't have any new management, so it makes me wonder why they even traded for him. If they were just, maybe they assumed that Onyeka would get top 5 or top 3 pick overall, but he's definitely a great fit in Atlanta. Atlanta had a killer free agency and a killer draft. Trae Young and Onyeka Okongwu is going to be a crazy duo, and I just don't see how the Hawks don't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's a pretty hot take. I'm liking it. I'm liking the playoff predictions already at this point after the draft. Edward, I'm going to move on to another pick for you, and then we'll transition to Gabe because we know he wants to talk about it. Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin goes to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are a box office franchise. They obviously needed someone like Obi Toppin. What are your thoughts on Obi Toppin going to the New York Knicks from Dayton?
I know he's a New Yorker. He was from there, so like it was seeing him being real emotional. It does, yeah. Man, he was the best player last year. To me, he is that definition of a small ball center. Like that guy could shoot, he could drive. His size kind of worries me, but hey, I mean that's the game is evolving, and you don't need these 7-footers like to like move around. But him, I guess he's a Skywalker. Like his dunks are pretty crazy. But it's an interesting pick because before all the free agents happened, they picked the forward, and you know their Knicks have unanimously bought Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, just on, and everyone know what the Knicks fan did, Knicks get. So my reaction was like, oh, that's another forward. But I think he's going to bring box office definitely. I think he's better than Julius Randle. I think he's better than whoever they have in that forward. Definitely better than Kevin Knox. So I'm very excited to see the New York. I want to see what number he's going to wear. So that would be very interesting.
They also got rid of all those players, right? They created so much cap space by getting rid of they created like 40 million in cap space by getting rid of Taj Gibson and a few other players. But Gabe, you wanted to talk about this. This was probably the highlight of your draft as a New York Knicks fan. How do you feel about Obi Toppin coming to the Big Apple?
Well, it's amazing. Like Edward said, he is a hometown hero, but not only is he from near New York, he grew up 5 minutes from me, down in the next town over. So it's crazy. You have people on Facebook, you have Facebook moms and dads rejoicing like they know who this guy is when they really don't know who this guy is, but he's from the area, so they're happy, just like I'm happy. And it's just insane. Like, obviously, there's a lot to prove with him still, but if he can be anything close to D-Rose or LeBron, he'll be only like the third hometown hero in NBA history. And as for the talent that was available, it is very, very arguable that he was the second or third most talented player available to Denny or maybe Halliburton. But he was the best culture fit, and that's what the Knicks need right now is a culture fit. They've gotten a lot of pieces that they thought were slept-on players like Kevin Knox or Frank that haven't really worked out. So it's time that they go for the home run here instead of trying to just settle for a single.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I'm excited about it too because I know you Knicks fans have needed some energy, and I think he definitely gives that to you. Okay, for the rest of the draft, I'm not gonna be mean to these players, but like not many people know about these players, right? This NBA draft wasn't a very stacked class if you're looking at it in comparison to other classes. But I will mention the Pelicans number 13 pick at Kyra Lewis because I read a little bit about this point guard from Alabama. He had some good days in Alabama. He was a leader of that team. And I think Stan Van Gundy has mentioned that we're going to see some action with Lonzo and Kyra Lewis on the floor at the same time. And so this Pelicans team is building a young core. They're adding more to that young core. And David Griffin just keeps making moves that seem to be promising for Pelicans fans. So I wanted to mention Kyra Lewis because he is a promising point guard. Gabe, do you have a sleeper pick or somebody else that you're looking at past pick number 10 or pick number 14 that you really liked?
All right, so yeah, there is one pick that really stood out to me outside of the lottery, and I really wish the Knicks did get him, but his name is RJ Hampton. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who that is already if you've seen high school footage or seen overseas footage of this kid. But yeah, I've been hyping him up since high school. He's a really good shooter. He has some fundamental issues, but it's nothing that good coaching can't fix. And he's now in a good system in Denver where maybe he won't be a starter immediately, obviously with Jamal Murray. But if they ever put Jamal Murray back at shooting guard, for instance, RJ Hampton would be the perfect point guard, and he's the perfect point guard for this league moving forward.
Good sleeper pick. I like that you pick someone that people may not know, and he's also from overseas. So that's a great pick. Edward, do you have a sleeper pick?
Yeah, I have a couple. For me, 15th, I think the Magic got Cole Anthony. I think that's a big pickup. They needed a point guard. I'm sorry to say, Mark is not the dude. It's just very tragic how he went down. But I think I think the Magic are very surprised. You know, I think Cole Anthony was projected to be at least top 10, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, I think they were trying. I think they were getting Kira Lewis. I think that was their projected. I don't know exactly. But Cole Anthony, you know, his father. I know. Watched his father, Greg Anthony, and just talk about how much Cole Anthony, how much he talks about his son. And for me, I had some issue with him at first, because he didn't improve that much in college. But I remember he got an injury, so I kind of give him a little slowdown. But I want to give the 76ers a huge credit. Daryl Morey has been phenomenal for the 76ers. And Tyrese Maxey, I think he's a sleeper too, because that Kentucky team, they don't know who their go-to was, and that guy just came out of nowhere. Like, nobody knew who Tyrese Maxey was, because you're all playing with like 5 stars, and he came out of nowhere. So I'm very excited how he plays, because Doc Rivers loved these like very gritty players. You know, he had like Patrick Beverly, and you know, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander last year or 2 years ago. So it'll be very exciting to see Tyrese.
Yeah, and those Kentucky players just keep coming back, and we heard so many Kentucky players doing well in the bubble. Yeah, and also those Duke players. But it's just great coaching in college that leads to success in the NBA. And then one pick I wanted to mention was Precious Achiuwa to the Miami Heat, because I saw a lot of hype about this guy from Miami Heat fans like Johnny Bullnez. I actually did like the pick, because after reading more about Precious Achiuwa, he actually had a great season in Memphis, and he's a big man. He have averaged like 2 blocks per game, so he can really add and take a little bit of pressure off of Bam. From what we saw in the Eastern Conference Finals and to the finals, Bam was the only big man in that small ball lineup, and so Precious Achiuwa can give some valuable minutes off the bench. And if he develops, which he will, he's under Eric Spoelstra, great coach. I like Precious Achiuwa at the 20th pick. And that will sum up our NBA draft reaction. Check out our NBA free agency reaction coming soon.